from our vantage point, dealing with these names of insurers and how they tend to totally screw guests over when the claim is made.
Right.
And what they put people through. I'm seeing these names and I'm going, oh.
Yeah.
But these people believe in those names and their agents and all the rest of that. And I certainly don't want to be the guy that poo-poos that.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Airing of Grievances. Of course, my name is Reamer. That's Robert Grieve, and it is always our pleasure to have you take time out of your day to join us for ours. And today we have a provocative conversation.
Real life
That
Real
took
life.
place in the social sphere, but it's happening in your neighborhood every single day of the week. And with that, before we get started, let me just do a little bit of house cleaning. If you haven't yet done it, click the subscribe button.
We appreciate that.
Hit the notify bell. That lets YouTube know that this is something that you want to see, information that's valuable to you. Similarly, that thumbs up does the same thing. It tells people, tells YouTube that they could share this content with other people. And of course, that's very helpful to the channel. Costs you nothing, just a click. With that being the case, we like to start off our Saturday mornings with you by saying, Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. My dear friends, happy Saturday. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all your engagement and your comments and your likes and spreading the word. It's heartwarming from this side of the fence, and I'm grateful.
Absolutely. With more than 1,100 views of last week's video. And if you didn't get a chance to see it yet, I'll put a link up here as well as down in the description box.
I think there's going to be a lot of links.
There's a lot of links.
There's a lot of links.
Yeah. So let's start the conversation today, Rob, by saying that you were strolling through social media.
Yep.
And you came across a comment that had an extraordinary number of comments after that.
That's true.
Would you mind sharing the post that got all of this interaction happening?
Just received my homeowner's insurance and it increased by $7,000. I almost fainted. Does anybody have an insurance company that is reasonable? I simply cannot afford this premium. The company is Safeco.
Uh-huh. So, this person posted that their homeowner's insurance policy increased by $7,000. And
that's pretty outrageous.
And they named the company Safeco, and now they're looking for options.
And people do what people do. They reach out to the social media, and at the time that I had read this, there was 146 comments made on this thing.
We're not going to read all 146 comments.
No, we're not.
But we're going to point out trends. And Rob has some good questions to ask as it goes along with this.
Well, I have to tell you, when I'm reading through these things and seeing the names and the recommendations and everything else, I get tight. Because people simply don't know. From our vantage point, dealing with these names of insurers and how they tend to totally screw guests over when the claim is made.
Right.
And what they put people through. I'm seeing these names and I'm going, oh.
Yeah.
But these people believe in those names and their agents and all the rest of that. And I certainly don't want to be the guy that poo-poos that.
Of course. And let's make a distinction real quick, because you mentioned the agents.
Yeah.
Right? The agents are not typically what we consider to be the biggest part of the problem.
Not at all. Not at all.
agents?
The agents are out there. They're supposed to be helping you.
They're your neighbors. They're in your neighborhoods. They're doing business with you as a neighborhood, typically.
Yep.
And they're the point of sale
Yep.
for a product that is mandatory.
Right. And then they don't get to control what happens if you have a loss.
Right.
That happens at the mothership.
Yeah.
And I just, I had my broker's license many years ago.
Really?
And I wouldn't want it today.
All right.
Wouldn't just there's only a few things out there that you can sell that are great for the consumer and reasonably priced, more than the off-the-shelf stuff.
Yeah.
But have great coverage. So we'll get into that in a minute.
Let's also point out, in the original post, she's talking about a homeowner's insurance policy.
And many times you have your cars bundled in with that too, and I don't know if that's the case. I don't know where she lives, what kind of house she has, if she's had any losses. I don't know any of that. All we know is that she says her insurance increased by $7,000. That's
Right.
a large number.
And we can draw some parallels. We're not trying to change the channel to a homeowner's insurance conversation.
Not at all.
What we are
It's all
doing,
the same.
It's all the same, and we see similar trends.
It's property and casualty. It's insurance of property,
Okay.
whether it be your home, your diamond ring, or your vehicle.
Got it.
It's property that you own that you're trying to insure for what reason? In case you have a loss.
Right.
And therein lies my concern.
All right.
Okay. So there was lots of really interesting stuff in here. By the way, I have my own opinions based on what we deal with on a day-to-day situation here with the insurers and the consumers repairing vehicles. And I didn't want to have my opinion necessarily skewed a thing because I'm just one person. So we did a video that is also pretty popular if you look at the analytics, and it's on the insurance report card for 2023, where over 1,000 shops across the nation rate their experiences with 87 insurance companies.
Okay.
And they give them grades. And so naturally number one is going to be with an A grade, and then all the way at the bottom is 87 with an F grade.
Ooh.
And there's only 3 A's in this whole list.
Wow.
Most of them is made up of B's and C's, but then you get into the D's and there's 1 F at the end. So I'm going to kind of lean on that a little bit. And according to that survey, the company that she is going to be evacuating from, Safeco, was rated 78 out of 87 with a D+.
Oh.
You did yourself a favor.
Yeah.
You did yourself a favor.
Sounds like it.
But there was lots of advice given in here, and here's one that caught my eye. You can adjust your deductible to reduce your premium. And you can do that, but that rarely reduces your premium enough to make a difference, and you've just increased your exposure
Right.
by a lot. And part of the reason that they want you to raise your deductible is because you're less likely to file a claim. It all works in the insurer's favor. So
Buyer
just
beware.
gonna run through a couple. And there was lots of comments on different companies to try. The first one I came across was Amica. I happen to love Amica. I think they're a great company. In the survey, they ranked number 12, again, out of what, 78?
87.
87.
Mm-hmm.
And they got a B rating. Another person mentioned Farmers. They were number 71. So well below the average,
Yeah.
with a C. Another person offered up auto owners. They're rated 16 with a B. And I tend to agree with most of these ratings, not all of them, but
Okay.
I would say that they're fairly consistent. So, and by the way, these people that have Safeco are also saying their rates went through the roof at the same time.
Yeah.
They're all supporting this person that made the comment because, yeah, mine did too.
Yeah.
May not be by $7,000, but it's by 40+%.
Yep.
That's an outrageous increase. And I don't think there's as many homeowners claims as there is auto claims.
I know that to be true.
So that makes it even more woohoo. So this one was talking, don't ever use Safeco. My sister had a water damage and they gave her so much problems trying to get it fixed. They were the worst. So there is that. We also have Safeco increased by 35%. Talked to their broker and they said home insurance rates are up 20 to 40%, she said. That's true. They're going through the roof.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of money.
And part of it is tied to the fact that, at least in this area, home values, home prices have gone through the roof.
Yes.
And in order to cover that increase in value, they need to boost up their...
Yeah, and actually it's not so much, you need to have a policy that's replacement value.
Come on.
They'll assign what they believe the value of the home is and you'll pay the premiums on that. But this is really more about what it would cost to rebuild that home, to demolish the home and rebuild the home.
Gotcha.
And labor and materials and everything else are through the roof.
Yep.
So, that's what it's kind of talking about there. Another one said call USAA. They're number 74 out of 87.
Yeah. This person also said you don't need to be a member. You probably don't need to be a member to call, but I think you do have to be a member of one sort or another in order to take advantage of...
You have to be connected to somebody that served.
Yes.
By a relative
Right.
or husband, wife, something along that line.
I think the football player Gronkowski knows a thing or two about that.
Yeah. Our Safeco premium went from 55 to 83, 44%. And it just keeps going on. A lot of people say contact State Farm. They were number 69 with a C. I would never give them that high a score, but 1,000 other shops, that's what it arrived at.
All right.
Some talk about Country Financial. They got a 48. So here, we got a huge increase from Country Financial, who has a 48 and a C+, and we switched to Allstate, which, ready for this? There's 87.
87.
87?
Yeah.
Their rank was 83 with a D+.
Yeah. To save a few $1,000s.
Right. So
that's great on the front side of it. But if you don't, if you have a claim and they don't meet what's necessary to make that claim whole, you're out many more times the $1,000 that you saved.
yeah. So I'm reading through this, and I'm not going to read all these things. There's tons in here that are very interesting to read.
Yes.
I'll just say one other comment that they were told their rates went up because of the Marshall fires that took out 1,000 homes a couple years ago.
We did a video on the Marshall fires, and
That would be worth watching.
absolutely, I'll put a link to it both down in the description box.
We have a lot of statistics in that one, and things that you need to look for in your policy, and that's the most important thing that I want to talk about today is your policy. But here's the thing with those homes, those 1,000 homes, more than 70% of them were underinsured. So people went after the cheapest rate, but their home wasn't insured for what it should be insured for. And what happened in the end is they had to come out anywhere from $150,000 to $300,000. Some of the houses were $400,000 out of pocket. They had to go find that money.
On top of the money the insurer
On top of the money the insurer was going to pay, because they have a max. And it turned out to a devastating thing for people that have already been devastated by losing everything in their home, and all the rest of that. This is not something to play with.
Right.
And yeah, the Marshall fires certainly are, I would believe they're a factor in rates going up. All rates are going up in everything.
It's true, but natural disasters definitely have an impact on the rates across the country.
And all the hail we go through and
all of that. Now, Rob, you had an interesting analogy.
That's where I was getting to next.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit. So to put this into perspective, such that I can understand it, you gave me an analogy of going grocery shopping.
Yes. Well, this gal needs to go shopping, so let's go shopping. What I'm reading in here is two things: price and name recognition. All those insurance companies have name recognition. Some of them are going to give it the price. But what is the price on? Is the policy the same one way or another, and you're just finding one with the lowest price? That is not the case.
Right.
That is not the case. Coverage is really, really important to you. And always, always, always get replacement cost on your policies. So I'm thinking, how do I put this, what I'm reading and what I'm trying to understand, and find some way to put it into words. And so, okay, we got name brands and we got price. So let's go to the grocery store.
Okay.
And we're walking down the aisle, and I think when I was talking to you, I picked honey.
You did pick honey.
And let's just say there's 2 containers of honey.
Okay.
And one's $5.
Yep.
And one's $3.
Okay.
Same amount of honey.
All right.
One, the more expensive one, says all natural ingredients.
Yeah.
The other one says what?
Well, it's a long list of chemicals and things that I don't know how to pronounce.
Right. So the other one is less, but it's not the same.
It is not the same.
And it's made out of chemicals instead of made out of honey.
Right.
And so while you may recognize the name, you still want to turn the thing over and look at the ingredients.
Right.
So when you're looking at these policies, I don't care what policy it is.
Right.
While you're looking at these policies, you may look at the price and say, that's something I can afford. May not be good for you. Turn it over and look at the ingredients. What is the coverage? What is going to happen if you had a loss, or God forbid you were part of that 1,000 homes that burned down in the Marshall fires? We've got to look at what is in the policy and what you are covered for. That's going to make the big difference. I will say that if she got an increase of $7,000, then she's probably eligible to get one of the premium policies. A Chubb, an AIG, there's several really good, solid policies. You're buying something that's all natural.
But there are prerequisites for entering into those policies.
You have to have a certain amount of assets. The house has got to be worth a certain amount and all the rest of that. But I'm willing to bet if you got increased by $7,000, that you would probably fall into the ability to get one of these other premium policies. And these premium policies would probably still be way less than that with much better coverage. It happened to me. I was with an insurer.
Yep.
I paid a lot of money.
Yep.
I didn't switch because they changed the rates. I switched because I moved to a different location, became a horse property. This company does not insure that risk.
Gotcha.
So I had to find another insurer. I asked about a couple of premium names.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I got double the policy for almost $3,000 less a year.
It can be done.
And, you know, this is the point of, and again, I have my cars under it too, uninsured, underinsured, both property and personal injury. An incredible policy. By the way, you don't have to get an OEM endorsement to have the right parts put on your car. It's already in the policy.
There you go.
Because it's a premium policy.
Yeah.
So if you go to look for any kind of a private client policy or something like that, or somebody wants to drop a note in the thing, I'll give you some ideas. The companies that you want to go with today, you probably do not know their name. Acuity, Pure, Secura. You know, there are, Chubb, the AIG,
Auto owners. These are
Amica.
These are not the people who typically show up on the advertising onslaught.
Right. They're taking care of their consumers, and I don't know. This was so bothersome for me to read because I see the people jumping out of the pot into the fire, and we're really only looking at two things. A relationship with a broker is an amazing thing.
Right.
I have an amazing relationship with my broker, but I also knew what I wanted to purchase, read it thoroughly, and it fit my needs.
Right.
And I got the coverage that I wanted.
Yes.
Same thing with this building. I love my broker. We go through the policy line by line every year to make sure there was no significant changes, and I don't need to up something or lower something, or the exposure's different, or I added another building, or I bought another piece of equipment.
Right.
We do that every year.
And
These are important things to really consider. Insurance, it's one of those necessary evils.
but when you need it, you really need it.
You really need it, and you don't need the nonsense. I have so many consumers calling me asking for help with property damage claims because they're getting screwed over by people that are.
Yeah, I feel you.
And then I read this, and I'm like, there's a lot of people trying to help her, but some of this stuff is the worst advice I could ever even imagine, but I'm not going to jump in there and say that.
Right.
I'm just one person.
You are one person, but you have an insight that very few people have access to. And so grateful for this conversation. If you have any questions, if you want to talk more about this, pop down into the comment section and leave your questions. We see them all. We respond to as many as we possibly can.
Yep. And we're grateful for them.
Absolutely.
And other people learn from your comments.
Yes, they do.
Or
yes, they do.
Or they also feel your pain the same way.
Yeah.
So it's a community.
This conversation, Rob, is the conversation that happens on the daily everywhere, not just located here at Nylund.
This is across the nation, and I'm hearing stories from shops that call me asking for advice that I'm like, this is not good.
Right.
I mean, some of the estimates that I'm seeing from some of the people named on here, they're going back to stuff that we haven't done since the 80s.
Yeah.
We'll cover that in a different conversation.
I will put a link to the Crash Network's insurance report card in the description box below. We did another video on that. That'll also be linked below. But you can actually go straight to the Crash Network and download this for yourself and see where your insurer stands. And, look.
And also the Marshall Fire one that we did, because I talk about your homeowner's policy in there and things to look for and how you understand what it actually means.
Avoid
as in a big scale.
Yeah, avoid being underinsured. That's
at all costs.
The point here. Rob, thank you so much. Happy Saturday to you.
Happy Saturday to you. My dear friends, thanks for tuning in. I hope you find this helpful. Thanks for letting me get on my rant for a little bit. And
wasn't a rant. It's not a rant if it's helpful. And we hope that this is, in fact, helpful.
God bless you. Have an amazing week. We'll see you next Saturday.